Good morning. I'm glad I'm here in one piece. I tried to stop my Secret Service agent from driving me and grabbed the steering wheel. It was not pretty.
And well, you're wanting to do things like that. I've been with you. You seem cuddly on air, but you are a terror. Yeah. Now, speaking of this party and the legacy that he has left for his party, this Tina Peters, the pro-Trump election official under indictment for breaching voting machines, lost her bid for Colorado Secretary of State on Tuesday.
Voter fraud.
Although she denies it. She says, we didn't lose. We just found evidence of more fraud. They're cheating, and we'll prove it once again. Oh, my God. No Republican is ever... She came in third place.
She came in third place.
No Republican is ever going to admit they lost, Karl.
We will not stand until we come in last place and with no votes.
Yes.
To prove we've won.
This is one of those thank gods. First of all, she's on her way to prison for voter fraud in the 2020. She's up for Secretary of State of Colorado. Thank God. But
these are Republicans who rejected her, by the way.
Yes. So there's some good news, right? And like I say, this poll is thank God, because you just are in what universe is this guy? But so Herschel Walker is down now 10 points.
I don't get
54
it,
to 44% in. I guess we have to be glad that their candidates are so bad, or that these insurrectionists were so dumb. Hal Sparks always says this, that they were just... Rudy Giuliani, did you see this yesterday? He tried to attack the credibility of Cassidy Hutchinson. He said, contrary to her false testimony, she was never present when I asked for a pardon. Oops. And then he quickly said, I told the president I didn't want or need one. But I'm like, oh, my God. He shot himself in the foot, right?
And then he deleted the
tweet. Well, that's what happens when you're not drunk.
It's when he's suddenly sober.
That's the new sitcom coming to ABC starring Rudy Giuliani.
Karl, were you surprised? I have to say, they were not counting on. They were like, oh, nobody cares about this. Everyone's already made up their mind. No one's going to watch. And now they're literally in their pants, right? Because this is so devastating. And
you can tell
so many people are watching.
Yeah. You've got a whole bunch of dudes from the Trump administration who refuse to testify, claim executive privilege, and are trying to besmirch somebody else's reputation for standing up and telling the truth. Yeah. I applaud Congressman Raskin for noting that if they really want to challenge what she has to say, they can come, swear an oath, and answer questions.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't get to call someone a liar who's under oath and under penalty of perjury, and you not do it. I mean, it's that's insane. So, by the way, political consultant cap on, because I get what everybody's saying, that Biden's approval ratings are not good, which I'm sorry, I put directly at the media's feet, because he has an extraordinary list of accomplishments. Best economy in 50 years. Michael McFaul just said it was not inevitable that NATO would be more united and expand as a result of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. POTUS played a leading historic role in producing this new NATO. Bravo, Mr. President. You don't see him get credit for that anywhere, along with anything else that he is. I mean, he is, as we always said, he inherited a civil war, essentially, the insurrection, right? What am I thinking of? Spanish flu, whatever. And the Great Depression. He inherited all of that from Trump. And it is, I guess I'm not surprised at his approval ratings, Karl, but I guess what it's showing in state by state is it's not affecting. Fetterman was looking great. Obviously, Warnock is looking great now. I think Tim Ryan has a real chance. It doesn't look like
we're seeing something similar with Biden that there was with Trump, although Biden is more popular than Trump was. We all scratched our heads when Trump lost, but Republicans did okay in the congressional races, or in a lot of the congressional races. And I think people can separate their views of different people. I think what Biden has going against him is not that he's unpopular. It's that there are some Democrats who are disappointed that more hasn't been done, right? Because they wanted not only a departure from Trump, they wanted, everything they've been waiting for. And then reality hits with what Congress can get accomplished with the margins that it has. I think what people recognize in these Democratic candidates for Senate and House is an opportunity to deliver on those things.
Right.
And I guarantee you, given the choice, Democrats would choose Biden a million times over the Republican alternative.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This seems big to me. Some breaking news. Biden has called for an exception to the filibuster in order to pass legislation that would codify Roe. That's big, I believe. Yeah. I mean, this is what I was saying.
Let's see if Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who have put out their concerned press releases about Roe, are willing to actually demonstrate their concern.
Yeah. Well, you had a great tweet, Karl. You retweeted someone that's talked about Clarence Thomas writing in a concurring opinion that the Supreme Court should reconsider Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, the rulings that now protect contraception, same-sex marriage, and same-sex relationships and same-sex marriage. And you just said, when people tell you, when they literally write it down for you, believe them. I mean, the saying is, when people show you who they are, believe them. He wrote it down. He wrote it down. He didn't have to offer that opinion.
He wrote it down. He carried it, because I assume they don't use email in his office. That's only Ginny Thomas.
Right.
They carried it to the clerk and filed it for the people to see. So it's not even like a hidden note that they passed during class. And I think the one that we always have to point out to our friends is Griswold and contraception. They're not just coming for the gays and lesbians, bisexual, and transgender people. They're coming for condoms and other forms of birth control, too.
Yeah. I love this tweet. Alex tweeted, if Obergefell is safe, and I have my doubts, I hope straight people understand how degrading and humiliating it is to have your ability to marry your loved one be debated. Again, a right we already have.
Again.
A right we already have.
Well, and look what's happening in Texas, where you've got noted bigot Attorney General Paxton talking about how if somebody wants to challenge their sodomy law, he'd protect it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is beyond terrifying, this religious theocracy that we find ourselves, waking up in every day. Karl, what do you think? I mean, is it going to be all of them, or what do you think the biggest factor in the midterms will be? Because we've got Roe, which is huge. We've got January 6th now, which I think is way bigger than people thought it was going to be. I mean, there are serious legal experts now saying it looks like Trump is going to be indicted. I mean, I just
not only legal experts, you've also got former attorneys from within his administration who previously defended Trump during the Mueller probe and said that there was no there in the Mueller probe. They're now saying that he's in serious legal jeopardy. So I think that's notable. I think it's all of the above, and the narrative, and I think what matters in campaigns and in politics is narratives. I think the narrative string that you pull through this is that this is a choice between stepping off the precipice of American democracy and relatively comfortable status quo, right? Most people just don't want their lives impacted. And their lives will be seriously impacted if Republicans take control of Congress. They are already being impacted by the judges that Republicans in Congress have advanced. So I think that's the narrative.
How do we take back this issue of inflation and gas prices? Because when they say, Republicans have an advantage on that, again, the media, we can't count on them to do their job. Karl, we just can't. Who's going to ask what are you going to do, Republicans? You all voted in mass against anything that would stop price gouging at the pump. What are you going to do? How's inflation and gas prices going to be better under you?
And every price, right? I mean, that's the thing. The reason you don't see the mainstream media covering this issue adequately is because their advertising is paid by all these products that have increased their prices when people can least afford it while they're experiencing record profits. And that's the key. So I think if more Democrats were willing to point out, and if you look at polling indicates that Americans do understand that corporations bear some of the blame here because of their profiteering. So whether it's gas prices or, other commodities in the grocery store, milk, bread, eggs, produce, etc. If people were willing to point out that, Tyson Foods, for example, has made record profit year over year during this inflation period. That means that they're making record profits on top of their increased costs. Yeah. And they're not passing those on to consumers. They're paying it out in billions of dollars in payouts to already wealthy executives and shareholders. So they bear a big responsibility here, just like the gas companies, just like so many other corporations.
Yeah, well, and also I think, more and more people are, I think, like waking up to the fact that oil companies, Russia, Saudi Arabia, they want Trump and Republicans to win. So, you know what I mean? It's like there are also factors that I think are even big business always prefers Republicans. So, you know, it's not lost on me that like nobody wants to help with inflation and gas prices before the election because they have an interest in it.
You know, the chairman of Halliburton, you know, said something, the quiet part out loud during an earnings call in the first quarter of the year.
Yep.
He said that they have an interest in keeping anxiety around gas prices and around gas supply because it helps them keep prices high, which increases their profits and increases their dividends.
Yeah. They're as much as saying, ha ha ha, we know people are going to blame Biden. Ha ha. You know,
well,
so
and while they just fill up their pockets, right? And so what this shows you is that our continued reliance on gasoline as the primary you know, method of fueling our vehicles puts us in danger of two things. One, international disturbances in supply, which we have very little control over, right? Russia would have had an impact regardless because of our reliance. But also, you know, it puts us at the whim of greedy oil and gas corporations who only care about their bottom line. Yeah. They always win. When times are good, they make billions in profits. Yeah. When times are bad, they get bailed out.
Doubled,
so the only way to fix that is going green.
Yeah, quadrupled some of the oil companies, their profits. I mean, it's insane. You remain a delight and doing the Lord's work. Karl, help me help you. How can we help support your work?
Well, it has not been easy the last 2.5 years. And, you know, lots of, I got a rainbow swastika in the mail at home the other day. You know, from an admirer, I'm sure. You know, the hate calls and everything else. A woman holding up a picture of me and Evan at a school board meeting calling us groomers. And, you know, the only way that we can fight back is by having the resources and showing that we have strength in numbers. I have a goal of raising 150 contributions before midnight tonight. Okay. I only need 40 more. So if people want to go to mooksforkarl.com, it would be very helpful. Okay. Any amount is helpful.
And we say it over and over and over again about how we have to compete at every level, state, local, national, starting school boards. And Karl Frisch walk the talk, man. Yeah. So support
I've heard
what
from
he's
a few mooks who are running for school board themselves, and it's very exciting.
No, it's very inspirational. And you started this whole thing. So mooksforkarl.com. Please help our friend. We love you, Karl.
Thank you. Have a good one. Okay.